Hey everyone, welcome to FCST 1010. This is week 7. So go on into content and you can see what we're learning about this week. We are in module 7 and we're going to be talking about reading and literacy and critical information and a little bit about plagiarism. So you can come in and see exactly what we have going on. Module 7. We are going to discriminate between examples of plagiarism and correct uses of sources in your writing. We're going to talk about analyzing and annotating texts and deciding if a source is proper to use on a college paper. I will tell you that Wikipedia is not a college source that you're going to want to use. You're going to want to use academic sources. We have our content quiz due on Wednesday, journal entry due on Thursday, challenge due on Sunday, and going further due on Sunday. I haven't changed these times yet, but these will be 11:59, not 11:30. And just keep in mind that your 3 responses to classmates are due by Sunday at 11:59 as well. Again, for the content quiz, you're just going to want to print it out and then go through the content and then go back and take the quiz. So just make sure you do that by Wednesday, and then you'll be able to see everything else in the course, the journal, the challenge, and the going further. So if we go back to Module 7, you can actually go in and see the content for this. We're going to talk a lot about, or you're going to learn a lot about, the differences in the ways that you can read information, especially when you have a lot of information to read and it becomes overwhelming. And finally, taking those skills and using them to be able to research and evaluate information. I'm sure you can Google something and find the answer to it really well, but you also have to be able to look at that and determine, is it good information or is it not? Did you find the information on a website that's trying to sell you the product that tells you, every research study tells you it's perfect? Or did you go to an academic source and find the information for you? So you're going to use your research skills for the rest of your college career and on into your professional career. So knowing what to do to find good information is important. So we're going to talk about information literacy is, as is defined, as having the pursuit of knowledge. Where things get tricky is discerning the information as the whole truth, half-truth, or completely false. Critical reading can be defined as reading with a purpose, and then we are going to talk about plagiarism, which is also defined in your GHC student handbook as the knowledge without proper credit to that person. Unfair credit includes, but is not limited to, a direct quotation of all or part of another's words without the proper identifying marks. Probably a lot of your teachers, as I do, run papers through a plagiarism checker, which is really nice because it looks for strings of words put together that are directly from someplace on the internet, and then what they do is it spits it out and gives you a really nice link to all the places where those exact words were found on the internet. So it's going to be really important for you to put things in your own words. Here is a list of skills for information literacy. You're going to want to read this article and go through it, and these are places that you'll use information literacy. And then you're going to figure out what critical reading is and why you need it. Critical reading is especially challenging when you get into college and you have to read all of the research text and research articles, and they're really long and they're in little tiny print, and it hurts your eyes and your head to read a little bit. So when you get into critical reading, you're going to really have to dig in and realize that you've got to slow down. You've got to think about each part of the article that you're reading. Prepare to become part of the writer's audience. Read with an open mind. Consider the title. The title is very important. Read slowly. And this is called close reading, but just read slowly. And the way that I teach my students to do it is read with a pencil in your hand. When you know you're reading something that's nonfiction, you should have a pencil in your hand so you can take notes on it. Because it's not the kind of, hey, I'm going to lay in bed and read this. You'll fall asleep in about 5 minutes. You're going to want to be sitting up at a desk with good light, reading slowly and taking notes as you go, just to make it easier for you to read and to comprehend the text. So that's critical reading, and then we come back to another critical reading infographic. which I love infographics because it just makes it easier to understand the material. I love this infographic. It talks about what you should do. You should identify, you should preview, so briefly look over the article you're going to read just to get your brain ready for the reading. Annotate. Then when you're done reading, you should summarize it. Analyze, link your points together. Word web is really good for this. And then read it again one more time, which this is what students don't want to do. They're like, I got it. I've read it once. I'm fine. Take the time to read it again. And then 5 components of information literacy. And here you go. Wikipedia is not a credible source. So you're going to want to watch these 2 videos. And then after you've watched those videos, we're going to get into your assignments for the week. So obviously your first assignment is the content quiz, which is due by Wednesday. And then your journal entry is all about reading. How do you feel about when you're reading large amounts of information? Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you have a strategy that you use? Do you forget what you've read as soon as you've read it? And what could you do to become a more critical reader? Reading's pretty tricky. I find a lot of students have learning disabilities that make reading difficult. If that's you, you could always use something that reads the information to you. That's not cheating. There's a lot of plugins on Google that'll just read anything that you have on the internet to you. There's a lot of things that will also read books to you, which will help free up your brain to do the comprehension instead of trying to read. My son's dyslexic, so it takes him a lot of time to read things, so one strategy he uses is he listens to things. It's not cheating. It's very helpful. Your brain wasn't made to read. Then your challenge for this week is how can you avoid plagiarism? Finding and evaluating information is one part of information literacy and giving credit to it. So you're going to take a plagiarism quiz from eWrite Check, and then you're going to read this handout from the North Carolina Writing Center. And then after you've taken the quiz and read the article, I want you to come and read this article about a high school plagiarism scandal in Kansas. And then you have to write a half-page essay explaining your opinion on Mrs. Pelton's decision to give students 0 on their botany assignment. Do you support her based on what you've learned about plagiarism and attribution? Why or why not? So you have to make a decision. Should you support Mrs. Pelton's decision, or was it the wrong decision? Use information from the eWrite Check and the University of North Carolina's Writing Center handout to tell me exactly what you think. And remember that it should be in MLA format and a minimum of 500 words posted by Sunday. And then going further, 7 is an annotated bibliography. So what you're going to have to do is you're actually going to have to research something. The steps of the research process are identify the problem, gather information, search databases for books and periodicals, evaluate the research, and cite your sources. We're not going to worry much about step 1 and 2, and we've done step 3 for you. So you're going to focus on evaluating the research and citing your sources. So using the topics below here, graphic novels, urban farming, soy milk, or A3 problem solving, you're going to create an annotated bibliography from one source. And you can figure out what an annotated bibliography is from this website. But an annotated bibliography has 4 parts. You have to give the citation, which is just where you found it. I'm sure you all know how to do a citation. You have to give me a summary paragraph. What did the article say? You have to tell me through an evaluation paragraph, does it appear the article was credible? And a reflective paragraph. Would you use this in your research paper and why? So if you go to this website, it will fill you in on what an annotated bibliography looks like. So here's your citation, here's your summary, here's your evaluation, and here's your reflection. And so you will be responsible for doing that for one of these articles or one of these topics this week. So this is your challenge, your going further project. You're not going to want to wait till the last minute to do this. You're going to search the Galileo database at the GHC library in one of these areas. So that is everything for this week. Also, just so you know, the last day to withdraw from this class is October 30th, so that is coming up as well. So if you're having trouble keeping up and getting everything done and you want to think about withdrawing, the day is the 30th. So that is everything for this week. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know.